Hello viewers, today we'll talk about programs, process and threads. We'll see what is program, what is process, what is thread. We'll see the difference between programs versus process versus threads. So if you are new to programming or if you don't know the difference between program, process and thread, then this video is for you. So let's get started. What is program? Program is the set of instructions that are arranged in the defined sequence to perform a particular task. The program generally resides in secondary memory, hard disk, and is comparatively larger. The process is passive entity. What is process? The program under execution is known as process. Each process is managed inside the main memory RAM and controlled and executed by using the microprocessor. Each process has some properties such as process state, process ID, program counter, stack pointer, register, accounting data, memory limit, etc. All this process information contained by the process control block. Now let's look at what is thread. So thread is an execution unit that is part of the process. A process can have multiple threads all executing at the same time. It is unit of execution in concurrent programming. A thread is lightweight and can be managed independently by a scheduler. It helps you to improve the application performance using parallelism. Multiple threads share information like data, code, files, etc. We can implement thread in three different ways: kernel level thread, user level thread, and hybrid threads. So first of all, there is a program. You can write it in a file that is stored in hard disk. When it executes, it is a process, and one process can have one or more than one threads. So you can see here program is at the top, and that program consists of more than one process, and one process can have more than one threads inside it. A program under execution is also known as process. All running instances of program are called process. So a task runs on a thread pool should not be used for long running process and does not create its own OS thread, and provides a much more powerful API and avoids wasting OS threads. All threads share the same memory as a process and have their own stack and kernel resources, provides more control over their operations, but are also costly and cause OS overheads. So you can see here in this diagram very clearly, programs consist of process and process consist of threads. So program is an executable file residing on your disk. Process is one or more executing instance of a program. Process have separate address space. Threads are lightweight processes. One or more threads of control within a process. Threads share the same address space. Now let's understand the difference between process and thread. So the definition says process means a program is in execution, and thread means a segment of a process. Now which is lightweight? The process is not lightweight, but the thread is lightweight. Let's look at the termination time of process and threads. So the process takes more time to terminate and thread takes less time to terminate. Process takes more time for creation, whereas thread takes less time for creation. Communication between process needs more time compared to threads. Communication between threads requires less time compared to process. It takes more time for context switching for process, and it takes less time for context switching between threads. Process consumes more resources, whereas thread consumes fewer resources. Different processes are thread separated by OS, and for thread, all the labels peer threads are treated as a single task by OS. The process mostly all the processes have separate memory. It is isolated, but threads share the same memory. Process does not share data, whereas threads share data with each other. Now let's look at program versus process. Previously we have seen process versus threads. Now let's look at program versus process. So some of the key difference between program versus process are: a program and process both are related terms for each other. The lifespan of the program is longer than the process. It is considered as a system activity in the batch operating system. It is called sequential executing instruction or jobs, while in real-time operating system it is called programs. User can run multiple programs parallel in the operating system. The term refers to a programming operating system in which the operating system manages its program-related activities such as memory management, cache management, etc. A program is considered as a passive entity in the operating system. For example, a batch file or an executable file contains an ordered set of instructions or commands for performing any specific task. It is called passive because it does not perform any action by itself. It needs to execute the instruction one by one to get the specific task done. For executing the program, operating system allocates the memory to its the address space of the program composed of the address of instruction, data, pointers. For example, if P is the program for operating system, it will allocate the memory to P before execution and will explore the P's address space. Then the operating system will schedule the execution of the P program and allocate the resources. So the difference between program and process is the program is a set of sequential ordered operations to accomplish a programming goal, whereas process executing as part of program is known as process. So execution process gets created when we execute the program. Program is generally static, whereas process is generally dynamic. The program needs memory, primary or secondary, for storage, whereas for process the resource requirement is high for the process. There is no duplication need in the case of program, but in case of process, a new or subchild process requires duplication of the parent process. A program is stored on disk, secondary memory, or in it contains by some files, for example batch script, and does not require any other resource. Process captures resources like CPU, memory, address, disk, IO, etc., and sometimes it produces deadlock situation. A program needs memory space on the disk to store all instructions, whereas a process occupies many resources like memory, disk, mouse, keyboard, and other external devices. The process is an instance of the program executed, whereas for program, the nature of program is passive. It does not do anything until it gets executed by allocating the resources. Program has no computational time and cost, where the process is considerably signal fact assess computation time. Program can be optimized to reduce the execution time and process, whereas process is a singleton entity and execution depends on the process. Deadlock creation and prevention depends on the program. Deadlock condition process stuck and wait for the resource consumed by the process, which is waiting for the resource holding by the previous process. Program can control the memory resources and data need to be used by the memory. Process and its information can be controlled by process control block. Program can not be decomposed or divided further, and there is no such thrashing in the program, whereas the process can be further decomposed into threads, which is part of the instance of single process. Program can contain the instruction to use cache for its data, whereas process can use cache to store and retrieve the data as it uses operating system paging scheme and cache replacement policies such as FCFS, LIFO, LRU, and RR. So thank you so much for watching today's video, and if you think the videos are helpful, do like the video and subscribe to the channel.